Welcome to episode 116 of Curio. This week, it's another weird news where we talk about the Siren Kings of New Zealand, salmon wearing orcas, and why George is not going to be on the podcast anymore. Just me and George this week. We have no Rob. Rob is off. What's he doing this week, George?
I don't know. He's probably crashing his van somewhere. That's what normally happens when he's
You
off.
said that last time as well.
Yeah, but that was true last time.
Yeah, maybe.
He's either crashing his van or he's been abducted by aliens. One of those.
One of the two.
Things.
Maybe both at the same time.
Could be, yeah. The van could go up as well.
Yeah. But George, this is your last episode of Curio for quite a while. You're not going to be with us for the next 4 months or so. Or this episode comes out beginning of January. So Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first episode of the new year. Wow. Maybe Rob's still hanging from New Year's Eve.
That is true. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Too. But yeah, you're going to be going on an adventure.
Yeah, unfortunately, listeners, I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm going to be backpacking across New Zealand. So I'm going to be hiking across the South Island of New Zealand with Lynn, my wife. So I'll be leaving you in Tom and Rob's capable hands. It does mean that there'll be limited mentions of Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, probably in that period, which is a bit of a shame. But,
how gutted would you be if there was like a crazy Bigfoot story, like some good evidence or whatever? Me and Rob speak about it on the episode. The episode blows up, like the unprecedented levels of Bigfoot talk on Curio.
I'd unsubscribe out of protest. Maybe, you never know. Maybe, I don't know if there's any Bigfoot or Big Feet myths in New Zealand. Maybe there are. Maybe I'll encounter a Bigfoot somewhere in New Zealand.
Hopefully so. You can, send us over some.
So I'm going out into the field, basically, listener.
And not reporting back.
And not reporting back, yeah.
Coming back, 4 months later with a couple stories, maybe. So what, are you starting, you're doing the South Island, are you starting in the south and walking north, or the other way?
Yeah, so we're starting at the very bottom of New Zealand, in a town called Bluff. And then we're following a trail, which is cool. I can never really pronounce it properly, so unfortunately I'm probably going to butcher it, and there'll be some New Zealanders. So I think it's a Maori word. It's like Te Araroa, something like that. It's Te space ARAEORA or something. And it's this trail that goes the length of New Zealand. So it's going to be 1,500 kilometers. I don't know how much that is in miles, to be honest. 800 miles?
1,500? That's about, I think it's about 10. No, wait, 1,500.
About 10 miles?
Yeah, about 10 miles, yeah. About 1,000 miles, right, I think?
It must be something like that, surely.
932.
There you go. That's about 1,000.
About 1,000, yeah.
In my book.
Yeah, so step one is to learn how to pronounce it. And then you can't be going up the whole way. Trail.
Let's have a look now. T-A-R-O-R-A.
What, you got anyone dropping you off at the airport? Not that I'm not offering, but like you're obviously flying out. You said you're flying out in a few days.
Yeah.
Got anyone taking you to the airport, or are you making your own way there?
No. Yeah, Lynn's parents are taking us.
Oh, okay,
we've got a nice drop off. Why are you laughing? What's the?
I was just going to say, when you say goodbye to her parents, how long are you planning to like cuddle when you say goodbye? Like when they're saying goodbye, have a good time, and you give them that goodbye hug, how long are you planning to make that hug? You got to think about these things.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it, but I don't want it to go on for too long because I don't like, I'm not a fan of when goodbyes go on for longer than they need to.
Like more than 3 minutes, you'd say. 3 minutes is too much.
Oh, if you're hugging someone for 3 minutes straight, I mean, that's just insane, right?
Okay, that's good. Because in New Zealand, there is an airport in the town of, I don't know how to pronounce this either Dunedin or Dunedin.
No, Dunedin. I'm going to be flying there.
That's where you're flying to?
So we're flying to Auckland and then to Dunedin.
Dunedin. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll send you this link. You'll see these signs at the Dunedin airport that the hugging time is a maximum of 3 minutes. So I guess people were saying too long of a farewell at Dunedin Airport that they actually have these
Mm,
signs up outside in like the drop off area,
love it.
limiting people's cuddle time. Max hug time 3 minutes for fond farewells. Please use the other car park.
You know, it's crazy though. That airport is like tiny. It's in the middle of nowhere. So surely it's not like Heathrow where there's obviously loads of cars going and turning up, and it's just like a small airport, like a small regional airport.
Well, maybe
Why?
that's it. Maybe they only have a tiny drop off section. If there's only enough
Yeah,
for
maybe.
like a couple cars, and also with these airports, um, the flights all take off at like a similar time of day. Like you might only have
Mm.
like a few flights in or out. So I'm guessing like everyone shows up to drop their people off for the same flight, and people are hugging for more than 3 minutes, and Dunedin airport staff are not happy about it.
It is quite long. It is long. I think when I so a few years ago, as I don't know, yeah, we I don't think we knew each other when I went traveling for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, I knew you. I met you just when you got back.
Yeah, old colleagues will have never heard this before because I never spoke about my travels at all. But my parents dropped me off at the airport when I went then, and I think the goodbye lasted for like 20 seconds. And looking back, it was probably too short. But yeah, 3 minutes is just like an insane amount of time just to be saying goodbye. In fact, the other day, last week, was it not this Sunday, but the previous Sunday? We went out with Lynn's family, like a big family thing.
Mm.
Went bowling, and afterwards we went to like a snack bar, like basically a takeaway place, but you can sit in and have frites bachar, which is chips and mayonnaise and
Mm.
other bits and pieces. And was there with Lynn's parents, her brother, sister, and their families. And then at the end, we were sort of standing by the door saying goodbye, but it was one of these big goodbyes. There's kids, the kids are there, blah, blah, blah.
Everyone's got to hug everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's got to hug everyone. And eventually, this bloke just stood up, came over, and was speaking Dutch. I didn't really know what he was saying at the time because I'm still not very good at Dutch. And everyone sort of went, yeah, 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 whatever. And then afterwards, they told me he was saying, "Come on, this is like a show now. You need to just leave because you're blocking the door." So this guy just came up and just called us out for having a too long of a goodbye in this restaurant, which you kind of get because it was like a very enthusiastic performance.
Maybe he was part of the logistics team at Dunedin Airport a few years ago.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, I get it if you're literally blocking a doorway and he was trying to get through, you would be a little
Mm.
bit like, guys, you're in the way of the door. Like,
No,
move
he
over.
was sat down eating,
But like,
so
he
he
obviously was
like
just watching it, being like, these guys.
yeah, just taking far too long. But yeah, he
Yeah,
stood up, and there wasn't even anyone waiting to get in.
that's funny.
But yeah, so yeah, I'll
He'd had enough.
avoid 3 minute goodbyes.
Yeah. Well, I also think like surely if you're going away for a while, you would say your goodbyes, your more meaningful goodbyes before you get to the airport. Like
Mhm.
that morning, you would be, oh, gonna miss you. Have a good time. You
It's just a bit
hug and
awkward though,
say
isn't it? If
goodbye.
that same person's then taking you to the airport. So you do the big goodbye and then you have to sit in the car with them for
No, I think and like you'd be talking in the car and you're saying like 3 minutes is insane. Like, yeah, I think 20 seconds is good. Like hug.
mm.
You've already said everything. What else can you say?
Plus
Be
I'm like
safe.
I'm a very I'm not always a calm traveller or like a very relaxed traveller. So when
Oh,
I'm
okay.
at the airport I just want to get through security. That's like my priority, I just want
Mm,
to be through security and then I'm chilled.
yeah.
So as if it is a 3 minute goodbye, as it goes on, as time ticks on, I'll be getting more and more stressed,
Yeah. You
thinking
just know
this is
there's
just
more
wasted.
people getting in the queue
Yeah,
of security before
yeah,
you.
this is setting us
Yeah.
back. This is setting us back. So yeah, I think I will be limiting it. I don't know what the limit is yet. Maybe I need to discuss with Lynn. But
I'm surprised that you're like a stressful traveler or stressed out traveler because you do it a fair amount. So like you've been around, like you've gone through enough
mm,
airports. Have you had a bad experience in an airport?
only once. So I've only ever had touch wood. I've only ever had one bad experience. And when I'm alone, so when it's just me, I'm fine because I can probably I know I can turn up like 4 hours early
Mm.
because it's just me, so I can do my own logistics. But when there's someone else there, I find that more stressful because not everyone's on the same sort of
Yeah.
level of. I think it comes from my dad because when we were younger, he was like, "Oh, we need to leave 5 hours before any flight," and he'd go around the whole house, unplugging all the appliances and rechecking all the light switches. So I do that now as well whenever I go.
Mm.
So yeah, I get that. I got that from my dad. But when a couple of years ago, Lynn and I went to Thailand, she gave me these like anxiety tablets. They're just like relaxation tablets,
Mm.
basically. And I popped one of those, and it was the most relaxed airport experience of my
Oh,
life. So
really?
I'm just gonna do
Do
that
that
again.
again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So we'll see. But listeners, if anything weird or funny happens, I'll let Tom and Rob know so they can at least bring it up.
Yeah, maybe even like if there is like a real funny story or like a curio that you encounter on your way, send us like a
Mhm.
voice message we can play for the listener.
There is actually a
Uh,
Curio Bay very close to where we start the walk. We're probably not going to be able to go to it, but yeah, it's a shame. Maybe I'll try and get over there. Take a picture
yeah,
next to the sign.
have a little detour.
Yeah.
Yeah. What yeah, what weird news stories have you brought, George?
Well, I like the way you say stories. Maybe I've only got one this week.
You've
Who knows?
never only got one. Somehow you'll like 5 minutes before we're due to record be like, oh fuck, I haven't got any stories. And then when it comes to actually record, you've got like three up your sleeve. All right, I've got three for you to choose from.
No, so I haven't got that many this time, which is fine. The main one I wanted to talk about is about orcas wearing salmon for hats. Have you seen this?
Who wearing salmon for hats?
Like killer whales, orcas.
Oh, okay. We said polkas.
Could be polkas.
Orcas wearing salmon for hats. No, I haven't seen this.
Okay, so yeah, weirdly, so this is in National Geographic, the one I'm reading from, but it's in a few other. Um,
That might be the most reliable source we've ever
I
like
know.
used on Curio.
Normally, it's like all sorts of Toronto Sun, Daily Express.
Yeah.
They're normally pretty reliable. But no, this is from National Geographic, and the headline is "Why these orcas are wearing salmon as a hat." Brackets again. So
Again.
it's not the
Okay.
first time it's happened. There is a photo. I'll send you the link to this article because there's a photo of an orca or a killer whale taken from above, and it's got a salmon dead, I guess, on the top of its head, and it's like holding it out of the water.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, the story behind this is there's not too much to it. They don't really know exactly why it's happening, but it hadn't been seen as a phenomenon or a something that the killer whales do since the late 80s. Let me just
Okay.
send you the link here. So I think in 1987, a group of or a pod of orcas were seen, yeah, wearing salmon for hats. So obviously, the killer whales might not think of them as a hat, right?
No.
But it looks like they're wearing a hat.
Like they
So
see
this,
people with hats and they're like, we need something like that.
yeah,
What
maybe.
have we got around? Some salmon.
Yes, this is in Puget Sound, by the way, which is in Washington State, so over in the US on the west coast. And it says that these orcas are draping salmon across their foreheads, so it's more like yeah, like a headscarf rather than a hat, I
Mm.
guess, or some sort of um, yeah, nice flowy. Maybe they're thinking of it as like a caftan or something, or is that's a dress, isn't it? A caftan, but I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know my headdresses.
so weirdly, so as I say, this was first observed, or this behaviour was first observed in the 1980s, in 1987, and it hadn't been seen since. So since 1987, it's never really happened. Um, However, this new sort of burst of the same behaviour isn't from the same orcas in 1987 because they're quite long lived. I think orcas can live 60, 70 years or so. But these orcas are relatives of those original orcas that were displaying this
Oh,
behavior,
okay.
or they're at least part of the same population, but they're obviously a lot younger. Um,
The
so
tradition has been carried on, passed
yeah,
down the generations.
yeah. So it says here. So this is the original sighting It first started with a single female in K-pod, so that's like a way that the researchers they assign different names to
Mm.
different family groups. So there was a single female in K-pod that started wearing a salmon on their hat, and then within a few months, this craze had spread to two other pods, J-pod and L-pod.
Man,
Um,
trendsetter. She's like the Madonna of orcas.
yeah.
Like,
Um, so then it became prominent in all of these three pods, which made up the population of this area, um, which are known as the Southern Resident Orcas, which was a group of 71 individuals. And these orcas only eat salmon, like their diet is exclusively just salmon. They don't feed on other fish and orcas, they'll hunt seals and all sorts of stuff, but this group, they only eat salmon.
hmm. So I
Um,
wonder if it's they're just keeping their food for later on. Like, they're a bit full, but they've killed a salmon. They're not just gonna, you can't hold on to it because you ain't got fingers. So
mm.
you just gotta like balance it on your head.
But I mean, if you're an orca, how much more full is another salmon going to make you? They're pretty big, right?
They are,
I
but
guess salmon are pretty
you've
big as well.
you've been that full before.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
you've
Like Christmas dinner. Think of it like
yeah,
a Christmas dinner and a pig in blanket. Maybe you're playing around with the last pig in blanket on your plate.
yeah,
Cool.
and the thing is, you've always got room for dessert. But if you only ate pigs in blankets, if that was your only food,
Mm.
and then you're oh, I'm so full. Someone could offer you like a slice of pie. You'll have it. Anything else you'd probably eat if all you'd eaten was pigs in blankets.
That is
But
true.
you'd still maybe be like, I don't want it to go to waste. I'll just pop it on my head for a bit. You haven't got
Potentially,
pockets.
yeah. I mean, you're
Mm,
not actually too far wrong. So there
okay.
is one sort of theory about this. So, which I'll get to in just a second. So, obviously, like I said, it disappeared. This craze came and went, and it vanished. And they didn't see this group wearing salmon on their heads for was it 20, 40 years almost at this point until October 25th, 2024. So very very recently, an
Fresh.
orca which is called J27 Blackberry, which is part of the J pod,
Catchy name.
which I think is the orca in that photo that I sent.
Okay.
Um, has been pictured doing the same thing that these orcas were doing, 40 years before. Um, and Blackberry is 32, so he's too young to have seen the original salmon craze. This is the words of
Hmm.
Jim Pasola, who is a photographer. Um, yeah, he wasn't around when the original salmon hat craze came around. However, it's believed that the male learned the behaviour from other members of the J pod.
Oh, it's like how
Some of which,
fashion comes around in circles, like flared jeans
yeah,
and stuff. Like,
it's
people
like
wore that in the
vinyl.
80s, 90s, and then it faded out, it faded out. But now, the sort of 20, 30-year-olds are like wanting to live like it's the 80s again. That's
Mm,
what it is. The
maybe.
salmon craze. All of the
I love
elder walkers are like, I used to wear a salmon on my head like that when I was when I was out, you know, on a night out in
potentially.
the
Not out in the
Pacific.
sound.
Yeah.
So one theory, or the main theory, I mean, they don't really know what it is, whether it is like playing or trying to impress mates or impress each other in the pod, because it could be a sign of um, like creativity, which is a sign of intelligence. Obviously, orcas are really intelligent,
Hmm.
so it could be that. But the biggest theory at the moment is that it's a sign that the salmon stocks in the area are really doing well. So they're really abundant. So the orcas, they've got so much food that they can do these things like play with
Ah,
salmon on their head and things like that. So in the past 35, 40 years, whenever it was, the salmon stocks went down. So there was less food for this group to eat because they only eat salmon. So they wouldn't be, putting them on their heads. And because it
yeah.
was
It's the
multiple
equivalent
days,
of
they're
like when
seeing,
you've got so much money, like that
yeah.
scene in a film where they're like throwing money. Oh, fuck, hit my mic. Where they're like throwing money up in the air.
Mm.
It doesn't mean anything to them. They can just toss money about. If you had so many pigs in blankets, you'd just be tossing them everywhere. Everyone can have a
Oh,
pig in blanket.
that'd be great, wouldn't it? Imagine.
Yeah.
That would be great.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe it's that. I reckon
mm,
it's just they're living the good life because they
yeah.
swim around for days wearing these salmon hats. It's not like just for a
Days.
little
What, the
bit.
same salmon?
Apparently so, yeah. So by the end, it's a bit bedraggled. They need to replace
That's
it.
quite impressive balancing skills because, like,
Yeah.
especially if they're good. Obviously, this photo here, like the orca has crested the water, like his nose is sticking out of the water, and then the salmon is balancing on top. But surely, when he goes back under the water, the salmon's gonna like float and bob about a bit,
Yeah, I don't know whether they have to like spin to keep it on their
like
heads
they're
or
upside down.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
crazy. I
Um,
want to interview one of these orcas, figure it out.
well, this isn't the only fad, like the only orca fad.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, at the end of this article, it says salmon hats are one of several whale fads that have come and gone over the years. Um, Once it was spy hopping, which I don't really know what that is. Spy hopping with dead salmon draped over their pectoral fins, which are the ones
they're
on the side, I
the
think, right?
front ones. Yeah.
Um, I don't know what spy hopping is. Would that be like maybe popping their heads out of the water or something? I'm not too sure. But they would have dead salmon draped over their fins. Another time it was orcas pulling big chunks of kelp, which is seaweed, underwater, and then letting it go so it would fly back up. So they were like playing with the kelp. Um, and then a few months ago, there was like a big wave of orcas attacking boats close to
Oh
Gibraltar,
yeah, I've seen that.
and they think that is also, it wasn't them being aggressive; it was either them just playing or like learning socially as a group.
Yeah, because it's
How
very
to do certain
rare
things.
for an orca to hurt a person, right? Like they're quite.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
think it's ever happened in the wild, right? Well, that's been reported. It only
I don't think
happens
in the
in
wild. No, I think it's happened in like sea life places and stuff before.
yeah,
But that's fair enough.
yeah,
Um,
they deserve it.
yeah, like quite a lot of you see quite a lot of videos of like a maybe like kayakers that go out quite far and then they get
Mhm.
approached by these killer whales and they just kind of give them a nudge, give them a little look. They don't really bother them. Like I think they're just curious, aren't they?
Yeah, well,
It
I'd
says
shoot my pants.
spy hopping is just when they poke their head out of the water to have a look around and then come back
Mm,
down again.
okay.
So similar to this, yeah, where they've got dead salmon
So they're
all
like
over the
showing
place.
off the fact they've got salmon. Maybe they do that around fishermen. Showing off
Yeah,
like, yeah, look at my.
yeah. Well, that's what I thought as well. Is maybe it's to show other orcas that they are a good hunter because obviously that would be an attractive quality if you're if you're a killer whale, if you're an
Mm.
orca that look at me, I can bring in the salmon. So if you're looking for a mate, pop a bit of salmon on your head, swim around. Oh, look at him. He can afford as many pigs in blankets as he wants. Is the equivalent. You're in Tesco and you see some guy loaded up trolley full of pigs in blankets, like, you know, 200 quid worth of pigs in blankets. You think that's a successful man.
Yeah, that is true. You need to
Yeah.
respect it.
That's
Respect
how
the
me and
hustle.
Rosie met. Going around Tesco with 200 quid worth of meat.
With
Um,
beans, with baked beans.
yeah, baked beans up my sleeves everywhere.
I reckon. Yeah, I reckon that holds water. I just like the idea of like fashion in animals. The idea of fashion. I don't know if monkeys, do anything like that. That they use things in
Mm,
courtship, to impress mates. Because I know some penguins they give pebbles as a gift, so they will
yeah.
like find a stone and then give it as a present to get a mate. But I just wonder whether there's any
I
other animals that
yeah,
wear things.
I've seen videos of monkeys doing it, but I think they're just imitating humans. Like they're not doing it
Mm,
on their own volition. Like they're just there's a video of like a monkey picking up like a jacket, like someone's left one of the keepers has left a jacket or someone's dropped it into the enclosure and they're sort of like putting their arms in the sleeves and wearing it. And would he have done that in the wild or
yeah, probably
I
not.
guess it wouldn't exist in the wild, like the jacket. But
Yeah, it could
I
be. It
wonder.
could be like an arrangement of leaves that form
Mm,
the perfect jacket.
yeah.
You never know. Listener,
Also,
tell
this
me if there's any animals that wear clothes in the world naturally.
yeah,
Tell
or
me.
if you are an animal, reach out. Let
Yeah,
us know.
love to hear from you. If you're an orca swimming in Puget Sound,
Also, shout out to National Geographic's website. There's not many websites that do a good job of recommending relevant content at the bottom of it. Like you go to like a news website and you read a story about I don't know, this story that I had about airport thing. If I go
Mm.
to the bottom and like related stories, I guess they're all New Zealand related, but they're not. You know, you can't really draw that many like connection points between these different stories. Whereas National Geographic, all of these stories at the bottom are all about orcas doing tricks, orcas doing interesting things, surprising scientists. Shout out.
Shout out National Geographic. Keep doing
Yeah.
what you're doing. You're going to be big one day.
Give us a sponsor. Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's the orcas. That's very. I just found it very interesting and a bit weird. I like.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I wonder if different types of fish make better hats. You know, if
Oh,
suddenly they realize, oh, we should use. They could use like an eel as a turban,
yeah.
couldn't they?
Octopus.
Yeah, octopus as like a
That's a good
one
one.
of those Australian hats with the
Yeah.
what are they called,
Oh, the little dangly bits.
little dangly bits, cork.
Yeah. Are they to keep flies away? I think I've read that. Like it's to keep bugs out your face or
I
something.
think so. Yeah, I think it's because they move. Yeah, it just keeps flies from being able to, or puts them off from landing on your face. Because when
Huh.
you're walking, it's all
Dangling
yeah
around.
dangly
Yeah.
danglies.
Hmm. Well, I've got a story. I've got another thing, New Zealand related. Something for you to keep your eyes out for while you're there, or ears out for, I should say. Um, this story is like a year old now. It was October 2023, so over a year old. So maybe it's died down, this sort of trend that's been going on. But the headline here is: a small New Zealand city has been plagued by drivers blasting Celine Dion ballads at 2 a.m. for almost a year. Very succinct headline there. But there's this small town in New Zealand. Now, I wonder if you'll be going past it. It said it was near Wellington, which is on the South Island, right? I think.
North Island, I think.
Bollocks.
So I won't be going near it. Maybe on the train though. After see.
Where is it? Yeah, it's just north of Wellington. Porirua. Porirua. It's a small town. There's only about 60,000 people that live there, and basically people have just been trying to outdo each other with how loud they can play music from their cars. And the article kind of hints that it's like a tradition amongst the natives. It says which appears to be particularly popular with indigenous people from the Pacific Islands. So it's like a tradition that's been going on. It's called Siren battles. It's been going on for several years, and the battles involve rival crews competing to blast the most powerful and clear sounds from loudspeakers attached to cars or even bicycles to win the title of Siren King. So I don't know if this is like an old tradition that came from like before we had like electronic speakers. It was like blowing a siren or something like that, and just who could be the loudest was the best
Mm.
or whatever. But it's developed to people just like kitting out their cars with super loud speakers, which obviously people do already, and then just trying to play it as loud as you can and be heard for as far as they can be. And
Why
one of the
Celine? Yeah,
reasons they're
why Celine
using
Dion?
they're using Celine Dion because higher pitch like treble sounds travel further than bassy sounds. So
Mm.
like basically high pitched voices. So it says that popular ballads to be used are "My Heart Will Go On" and "It's All Coming Back to Me Now." And the residents are not happy about it because it starts. He said sometimes it starts as early as like 7 p.m. and at that point you can kind of deal with it, but it's going on like way into like the early hours of the morning, 2-3 o'clock or so, and the I don't know if it was like the mayor or something, but like an official from the city. Who is this? Someone called Baker.
The baker. They send a
Uh,
baker out to.
a Baker, yeah.
Oh, the mayor. Yeah, Anita Baker, the mayor of
Anita Baker,
Porirua.
the mayor. Yeah, she was saying that yeah, it's really loud music. and they only play a quarter of the song. So it's like having a turntable and it comes screeching out. That's even more annoying potentially that they're
Mm.
only playing like a section of the song and then you've just now got the song stuck in your head. Like they don't actually get through to the end of it.
I mean, that'd be yeah, it would be annoying, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just in being in bed and then all of a sudden Celine Dion is just so loud. I imagine being startled from sleep by Celine Dion at like an ungodly volume.
Yeah. I wonder if they've like the guys driving around doing it know the part of the song where it's like the loudest, and if you like start the song right in the middle of a high note, so you don't even like
Mm.
get the build up, it just instantly is like like that would be quite intense if that's like right outside your window.
It's a bit like the New Zealand version of. Do you remember those sky trumpets we spoke about a long, long time ago?
Yeah, what was that? I don't remember that.
I don't think there's ever really been like a cause, but yeah, there's like weird, crazy noises that people were recording that was keeping
Mm.
them up at night. This is like the New Zealand version, except it's Celine Dion. Maybe it's aliens, using it as some sort of psychological warfare, like in Vietnam when they used to blast, the US blast like crazy music really loudly in Vietnam, or is it the Viet Cong did that to the Americans? I can't quite remember
I
which
don't
way around
know.
it was.
I don't think I've heard of that.
And even in World War II, in Stalingrad, the Russians blasted really loud music constantly at night to keep the Germans
Oh, my
awake.
old neighbors used to do that. They were Russian.
Ah, so they
They
were
used
like,
to, yeah, I used to live
yeah.
next door to these Russians, and they'd be playing really loud, like what's the music called? Like not like music, like
Mm,
proper, like traditional, I
okay.
guess, like Russian music. Yeah,
They might have thought you
super
were
loud.
German. Maybe they were.
They thought I
Maybe.
was German. Yeah, trying
Okay.
to
Well,
like yeah, draw
but
us out.
one question about this, right? So I'm guessing that these Siren Kings, they're not actually fans of Celine Dion. It doesn't seem like the sort of scene where Celine Dion is like a favored artist.
Mm.
So how can they enjoy it? I don't understand where their enjoyment does their enjoyment then come from the fact that they are annoying people.
They're just the
And
loudest. Like they're louder than the other guy playing Celine Dion.
mm,
'Cause, like, you might have a louder speaker. Say your speaker is, like, 10% louder, but then you're playing just some, like, Kendrick Lamar, and then they're playing Celine Dion. Theirs will sound louder just because her voice is so powerful. So, no
okay.
no, not dissing Kendrick in any way, like, great voice. But
I'd probably go for like Pavarotti. That'd be quite good.
maybe
Some
his
proper
wasn't
opera
as
singing.
high pitched. It's the high pitchedness that
Yeah, true.
really gets you there.
Just seems to me like there's nothing to do in New Zealand. If this is like the idea
Apart
of what
from
we need to
either go
do,
for a long walk
yeah,
or or play
or,
some Celine Dion.
or blast it. If it keeps people away from crime and drugs, then I do it. But
There
just
is a
don't do it in my
potential.
neighborhood when you're waking me up at fucking 3 in the morning with my heart will go on.
I'm looking at a map here. If you're going to the very, very northern tip of the South Island,
Mm,
you
I
might
might
be able
hear
to
it.
hear it because this town, Peoria, is right at the bottom, and the islands are very close together. So if the sound travels,
And if the wind's blowing
um,
in the right direction,
what is this,
be
50
like,
kilometers or so, then you might hear it.
okay. And if I'll record when we get there, I'll just hold my
Just
phone to
hold,
the sky
yeah.
and we'll see.
I wonder if people maybe becoming more. I feel like with most songs, either you hear them more and you start to hate them, but sometimes you might not be that keen on a song, but the more and more you hear it, it maybe grows on you a little bit.
Mm,
Wonder if there are some people that, especially the guys playing it, I wonder if, like you say, they're not that into Celine Dion, but then
maybe they are
they're
now.
maybe they are now. They're like, oh, bang, guys, I listened to another one of her songs. She's actually pretty sick. Let's put another one on.
I don't actually know any of Celine Dion's songs apart from "My Heart Will Go On." I don't think I could name. I know her voice.
I also thought that same thing, and so I googled "It's All Coming Back to Me Now" because that's one of their other songs, and I knew that one as well.
Mm.
Um, I can't.
Maybe it's one of those things that.
Once you hear it, you
Yeah,
would have heard
yeah.
that one. Yeah, but it's nearly 8 minutes long.
Okay, no, that's definite copyright strike. We play that on the
Yeah,
pod.
maybe if Rob's not too busy, we'll maybe get him to give us a little rendition at the end of "It's All Coming Back to Me Now."
In a Celine Dion voice, though, in
Well,
the
yeah,
style of Celine Dion.
he has to hit the notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Have you
I'll
got
keep an eye. I've got one more, but I will
one
keep an
more?
eye out for the Siren Kings of New Zealand. There's even a Wikipedia page for it, so it is
Oh,
like a
really?
subculture.
I didn't.
Um,
I didn't research that much.
yeah, it's like Siren Kings. It's called like I know it's called Siren Kings. So Siren Kings is the subculture. So it's a
Oh, okay.
primarily Pacifica, which is a pan-ethnic group of New Zealanders from various Pacific islands. Underground youth subculture originating in South Auckland, which gained popularity in the mid 2010s.
Okay, yeah, it says originated in the early 2000s and then popularity in 2010. So it's
Mm.
not like a super like long-standing tradition uh like I came up with. But yeah, it actually mentions Celine Dion in this Wikipedia as well.
Yeah, there's a good picture at the top of a guy with his bicycle, um, which is just like a normal sort of BMX or
Hmm.
dirt bike with.
Well, I found this article on Reddit, and there was someone in the Reddit comments that was saying like, "Oh shit!" Like I was walking around, like they were traveling New Zealand, and when they were around that, like the sort of Wellington area, they said you just every day you're walking about and there's guys with boom boxes down the street, like super loud, people riding their bike, like everyone just seems to be playing music super loud, or not everyone, but just like quite a lot of these. Is indigenous the right word? Or like native people? I don't know.
Yeah, pan-ethnic
Yeah,
subculture.
yeah. Seems to be a popular thing.
Yeah, interesting. So I suppose it's a bit like uh, they're called burnouts or car meets. Where you're just
Yeah,
like doing fucking donuts and revving and I don't know. I don't know what other words are associated with that, but like another thing of that is about making the loudest noise with your car, right? So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just a different form of that. But interesting. I'd never heard of it, and I probably never would have heard of it until this episode of Curio. And
See,
that is why this is an educational podcast.
if you don't listen to Curio, you don't know these things.
Exactly.
Yeah, this will come up on a pub quiz one day, and you'll be happy you heard about the Siren Kings of New Zealand.
Just seen as well that there was a so the music produced to be used in siren battles is known as siren beats or siren jams. And it says here that in 2020, siren beat producer and high school student George George 685 song "Laxed" became popular on TikTok, and it was later sampled by Jason Derulo.
Yeah, I
So
like that as
I'm gonna have to
well.
listen to what that sounds like. I don't know whether that's just gonna be like Celine Dion at crazy levels of treble.
Yeah.
Probably not, but interested. So it's hit the mainstream in some way.
Stick around to the end, and Rob will do a rendition of that as well.
The only other thing I wanted to talk about, which we didn't talk about last episode, because by the time this comes out, it would have been old news. But
Mm.
we briefly discussed it off the air. All these drone sightings in New Jersey,
Yeah,
um, which obviously everyone's losing their mind about, and there's been lots of memes on X and all this sort of stuff and videos. Um, like it's even got to the point where I think a whole group of mayors in New Jersey have all written to the government to demand an explanation of what's going on. So it's just quite interesting the fact that no one seems to know what they are. Obviously, some people are saying it's just planes, and in some cases they probably are just planes. But other cases they're like definitely not a plane, but don't know who it is, don't know what it is, don't know what it's
yeah.
doing.
It is.
Um,
The weirdest part is just that like no one official has come out and said like, "Hey guys, like don't worry about it," or
mm,
like that's all they need to say is like some FBI person or some like military person or the president or whoever just needs to be like, "Oh yeah, that's just something we're working on. Don't you stress." But no one has done that yet. So
mm. It's
yeah,
just
and
weird.
like yeah, I'm sure by the time this comes out, it's either been completely forgotten, it's old news, or there's some new news and what we're saying is outdated. But I guess for anyone who doesn't know, there's just been sightings of these like people call them drones or whatever, but they're like The thing is that makes me think they're not suspicious. Like people are saying it's China or Iran or whatever, like sending drones over, like military drones and stuff, or it's aliens. But like they've all got their lights on. Like
Mm.
they're mostly seen at night, and you see these drones like flying over and big bright lights on them. Like these are huge, not little like these aren't like drones you buy from a shop. Like these are big, like unmanned aircraft things, by the looks of it. So I feel like they're not going to be like a military thing. That like no one's invading because they wouldn't leave the lights on and like be obvious about it.
That is
So
true. Yeah, it is true.
they must be like an American thing. Like there must be like an American company or American military or whatever that's flying them around. But like just let people know it's okay.
But maybe it could be, and that's the whole point. They're leaving the lights on to stir up all this uncertainty and panic.
Mm,
Because even if they're not doing anything, and if someone's just flying, say it is Iran or whoever, if they're just flying drones over the US just for shits and giggles, that's almost like a psychological thing, isn't it? Saying, we can do
mm.
this and no one's going to stop us. So maybe it's that. And again with aliens, maybe it's Bigfoot up there. You never know. It could be Bigfoot piloting one of these because they're
Bigfoot
big.
with his like he's got VR goggles on and like a little
Yeah, fuck
handheld
it.
controller.
But yeah, it's just strange. Even Donald Trump's spoken about it.
Mm.
As we know, Donald Trump only talks about something.
Yeah,
Um,
even Donald Trump
yeah.
has spoken about it.
But even he said, I can't remember what his exact quote was, but it was something along the lines of, "They know what it is, and I don't know why they're not uh,
Mm.
telling people what it is," which is a weird thing to say. But obviously, he's just trying to um, put the current administration in bad light. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
just interesting. I like the whole sort of batch of memes it's produced.
yeah.
Of like there's the famous picture of an indigenous tribe in the Amazon or somewhere firing arrows at a helicopter,
Oh right, yeah,
and people saying, "I like residents of New Jersey this morning when a plane flies over."
yeah. Americans right now.
Yeah, I just love it. But yeah,
Yeah, and it
listeners, if
is
you live in
like
New Jersey and you've seen one of these drones, give us an exclusive. Yeah,
mm,
don't put it on X. Yeah, don't send it to CNN or
come straight
Fox
to the
News.
yeah, come
Yeah,
straight to Curio.
come to the Curio Media Network. Yeah.
And in a few weeks, your message will be out there.
Yeah, if you want to share something but you don't want to share it right now, come to us. We
Yeah,
can drip feed that content.
yeah. We'll read it straight away, and
Mm.
then yeah, it'll be yeah. Send it to George, and then we'll talk about it in 4.5 months' time.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When are you back? April, right?
End of April, yeah. So I guess I'll be back on the airwaves in May sometime, maybe at the end of May,
Wow,
something like that. Yeah.
wow. Well,
So I hate to disappoint our one listener. And out of that listener, I'm pretty sure like 50% of the time they're not interested in my stories, which is fine. And
yeah,
I guess Push Up Paul is always a firm supporter of my content.
yeah.
He probably
Maybe.
likes trashing it more than he enjoys listening.
Yeah, when I used to see him more often, he would say he would usually be listening to the podcast while commuting, and then when I see him, he would almost like start talking to me as if we were just talking about something, like I was part of this conversation. He'd be like, "The thing is with this conspiracy and the Bigfoot," and I'm like, "Wait, what are you talking about, Paul?" Because he's like, "Oh, on the episode." I'm like, "Oh, we recorded that like 2 months ago, and I've forgotten everything about it. So you need to catch me up to speed." But yeah, no, reliable listener. Shout out, Push Up Paul.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, have a good time. In the meantime, Rob and I will try and do our best to maybe bring the spirit of George and bring the odd like history topic or Bigfoot. Um, and yeah, hopefully we can get some guests in and keep it entertaining for you guys. So it's not just me and Rob like chatting shit the whole time.
Yeah, it gets old very quickly, doesn't it? Listening to Rob. Just having Rob in the room gets very old very fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, as we all know.
Now, it's a
Right.
shame that my last one isn't with Rob, but yeah.
Tried to make it work, but you know what Rob's like. Yeah, have a great time, George. And we'll see you in 5 months or so. That was Curio episode 116.
Bye, guys.